Hello people, it's that time of week again, it's book review week. We're doing another Audible book today. A couple of weeks ago we did David Fuentes' Follow the Money. This week we're doing Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Now this book is sort of a satirical self-help book, and in the opening chapters Mark Manson gives his reasons for writing this book, and he says that ultimately most self-help books focus on what the reader is lacking. So they focus on how to make you money, how to make you thin, how to make you popular, etc. And all they're doing is focusing on the fact that you are not rich, you're not thin, and you're not popular. And he aims to write a book that focuses on what you do have and the facts of life. And arguably, the whole premise of this book is that life is screwed up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to be unhappy at points. You might not be so popular. You might not end up mega rich and a superstar or super thin supermodel, or you may not be perfect, and that's okay, provided you give a fuck about certain things, provided you selectively choose what to give a fuck about. And it's basically a counter-argument to most self-help books. So he's saying that you shouldn't give a fuck about being rich, being thin, being popular, being pretty, but you should give a fuck about the things that matter in your life, your values. And he doesn't go as far as to argue what your values should be, but he says that you should decide for yourself, not society as a whole, not your family or friends or whatever it is. You should decide what your values are, what you choose to hold important, what you choose to give a fuck about. And he explains this through a variety of funny, humorous, entertaining methods, from stories from his own life, from his days being accused of taking drugs into school, through to his marriage, all the way up to his sitting on the cliffs at the Cape of Good Hope at the age of 30. He tells us these stories, he tells us these anecdotes, and they're quite entertaining to listen to. And he tells us these different, even from people who know him, so his brothers and sisters or his wife, stories from them, all these kind of things. And the ultimate message is, life isn't perfect. You may not turn out to be this superstar, world-renowned, world-famous megastar. You may not turn out to be perfectly beautiful and gorgeous and thin and rich and popular, and it's okay. And he uses a lot of anecdotes from the metal world as well. He tells the story of Dave Mustaine, who formed Megadeth. If you're not a metalhead, he formed Megadeth after being kicked out of Metallica because he wanted a band that was bigger and more popular and more well known than Metallica. And of course today Metallica are more well known. And even though Megadeth has sold millions of albums, they've got millions of adoring fans, they've toured the world half a dozen times. In an interview in 2003, Dave Mustaine cried and said that in his eyes he was still a failure because he failed to beat Metallica. Megadeth failed to be more popular and more well known than Metallica, even though in most people's eyes, Dave Mustaine and Megadeth are huge successes. They're hugely successful, but in his own eyes, because he didn't apply the right values to himself, that's why he doesn't see himself as successful, because his metric for success was entirely different to the metric for what most people would consider success. And that's the message. Give a fuck about what you think is right and you'll be okay. Give a fuck about not what other people are doing or what other people consider to be successful or right. Give a fuck about what you think is important in your life and you'll be okay. That's the message. Go ahead and pick it up. I'll leave a link as usual in the box. Read it, have a look through it, listen to it, whatever you want to do, however you get your reading fix. And it was definitely worth a read. It's definitely nice to see a fresh take on the self-help genre. So thanks for watching. I shall see you in the next video.